My name is Ryder, and for most of my life, I believed that money was the only language worth speaking. I was born into wealth. My father was a businessman who measured success by the thickness of banknotes. My mother loved me, but she too worshipped money with silent devotion. I grew up thinking that compassion was an unnecessary expense, and kindness was a luxury poor people indulged in. By the time I turned 35, I had my own empire companies, lands, buildings, and accounts so large that bankers bowed at the sight of me. I lived in a mansion with walls so high that even sunlight struggled to come in. People feared me, respected me, or pretended to admire me. I did not care which. As long as money bowed to me, the world could bow too. I hated poor people, not because they harmed me, but because they reminded me of something I refused to acknowledge, that life was not under my control. Whenever I saw a beggar, I turned my face away. When poor workers came near my office gate, I asked the guards to chase them away. When someone asked for help, I laughed inside my mind. Help was a word that the poor created to survive. I believed in one truth: money is everything. I carried this arrogance into my marriage. My wife Mira, a gentle and kind woman, often tried to soften my heart, but I shrugged off her attempts. I loved her, yes, but only in the way a man loves something he thinks he owns. Out of all the people in my life, there was only one who could break the stone inside my chest. My daughter, Rhea. My son was energetic, mischievous, and brilliant. But it was Rhea who had my heart. She was gentle, quiet, and full of innocence. She looked at the world with wonder, and sometimes I caught her staring at me with those big brown eyes full of love I knew I didn't deserve. She used to hold my face and say, "Papa, why don't you smile more?" And I had no answer. My world was made of numbers, not emotions. But everything changed on a stormy night that came like a thief. Rhea had been sick for 2 days, mild fever, coughing. We thought it was nothing. Children fall sick and they get better. That's what everyone believed. But that evening, she fainted while running to hug me as I returned from work. I remember the moment vividly. Her small body falling to the floor, her forehead hitting the marble, her hands still reaching for me, even as her consciousness slipped. My heart froze. We rushed her to the hospital. The doctor spoke in terms that frightened me. Severe infection, critical condition, complications. I felt helpless for the first time in my life. I tried everything: money, specialist doctors, flown from different cities, machines, treatments, medicines, but nothing worked. In fact, she worsened from fever to breathing problems, from breathing problems to unconsciousness. Finally, the head doctor took me aside and said, not unkindly, "Mr. Ryder, I must be honest. We don't think she will recover. Her condition is deteriorating rapidly. Prepare yourself." Prepare myself? For what? For losing the only part of me that was capable of love? My wife broke down. My parents cried like children. My son clung to me, asking why Rhea wasn't waking up. Inside me, something cracked. Money couldn't save her. Power couldn't save her. I couldn't save her. That night, as I sat beside her hospital bed, holding her tiny fingers. The absurdity of my life hit me like a blow. I'd built everything in this world, but I could not save my own child. That was the first moment I realized how poor I truly was. I had never believed in God. I laughed at people who prayed. I mocked temples, rituals, and faith. But when the doctor said Rhea might not make it through the night, something primal rose inside me. Fear, desperation, love, everything tangled like a knot inside my chest. My wife whispered through her tears, "Ryder, why don't we take her to the old temple? They say miracles happen there." I nearly said no. My pride rose first. Then it broke. "What if it helps?" she said. "Even a little?" And that was enough. Rhea lay unconscious in my arms as we drove to the temple. Rain hammered the windshield and the world outside blurred. But inside the car, I held my daughter and prayed, "If you could call my trembling, broken whispers a prayer, don't take her. Please, take everything else, but not her." The temple was dimly lit, ancient, silent. The priest, an old man with tired eyes, looked at me as if he already knew why I had come. He motioned for us to enter. I placed Rhea gently before the deity and fell to my knees. A man who never bowed before anyone bowed that night. I cried for the first time since childhood. Tears fell on the cold stone floor as I begged a God I never believed in. "Save her. I will do anything." The priest placed a hand on my shoulder. "Your child will live," he said softly, "but you must give up the one thing you worship." I looked up at him, confused. "What do you mean?" "You have spent your whole life believing that money is your God. If you want your daughter back, donate everything you own. Leave your wealth here. Free yourself." My first reaction was anger. How dare he? All my life I had spent protecting my money. And now this old man wanted me to give it all away? But then I looked at Rhea's face, pale, fragile, motionless. What was the value of money compared to the breath of a child? What use were buildings if I had no home? What use were companies if I had no life? What use was wealth if I had no one to share my world with? My hands shook, but my voice was steady. "Take it," I whispered. "Take all of it," my wife gasped. My parents stared at me in disbelief. But I was drowning, and this was the only rope reaching out to me. The priest nodded with a sadness and understanding I will never forget. "You have chosen correctly," he said. He placed his hand on Rhea's forehead and murmured a prayer. For a moment, nothing happened. Then my daughter's fingers twitched. It was the smallest movement, but it felt like the sun rising inside my chest. She opened her eyes. "Papa," she whispered. I broke. My heart shattered into a million pieces and formed itself anew. I held her tightly, sobbing into her hair, thanking a God I had insulted all my life. The next morning, Rhea's condition improved drastically. The doctors were shocked. They called it a miracle, an unexplained recovery. But I knew something inside me had died that night, and something much greater had been born. Over the next weeks, I followed through on my promise. I donated everything, my wealth, properties, businesses, accounts, everything I had ever built. Some people thought I had gone mad. Others thought I was manipulated. Some people thought I had gone mad. Others thought I was manipulated. Some even laughed, but I didn't care. For the first time in my life, I felt light. I felt human. My wife did not complain. She held my hand and said she had never been prouder of me. My parents, after the initial shock, found peace. My son admired me more than ever. And Rhea, my sweet Rhea, grew stronger every day, her laughter filling the air like everything was right again. We moved to a small house near a quiet village. I started working as a simple consultant, helping small farmers and shopkeepers grow their businesses. I met the poor people I once hated. I sat with them, talked with them, listened to them, and I realized something I had refused to see all my life. The poor were richer than me. They had hearts that could love without limits. They shared what little they had. They smiled more, lived more, felt more. I lived among them, learned from them, and slowly became one of them. Today, we don't have luxuries, but we have peace. We don't have servants, but we have warmth. We don't have mansions, but we have a home, a real home. I used to believe money was the most powerful thing. But now I know money can build walls, but only love can build hearts. Money can buy medicine, but not miracles. Money can buy a bed, but not sleep. Money can buy companions, but not family. Money can buy amusements, but not joy. I lost everything the world values, but I gained everything that life values. And if I had to choose again, I would still kneel in that temple, still give everything, still surrender myself just to hear my daughter call me Papa again. My name is Ryder. Once I was the richest man alive. Today I am simply a father, and that I have learned is worth more than all the gold on earth.